and gentlemen, so we are looking at mergers and acquisitions, mergers and acquisitions, mergers and acquisitions. Yeah. So, and this is the handout that I would want to use today. All right. Share. So AFM mergers and acquisitions, we shall be using M&A initials like that. So the very first thing that we need to know, ladies and gentlemen, are the definitions. And we should be able to know how to differentiate between the two. So we have here, a merger is the combination. Combination of what? Of two or more companies, to form a new entity. A merger is the combination of two or more companies to form a new entity. The original companies lose their separate identities and operate under a new name or structure. It is usually a mutual decision between the companies. What you're saying, ladies and gentlemen, don't write any notes. What you're saying, ladies and gentlemen, don't write any notes here because already you have notes. If you have two companies, we have here company A and a B, then they come together to create a new company called C, in a way that the original companies lose their identity. The original companies get to lose their identity, then this kind of an arrangement will be called a merger. So a merger is the coming together of two or more companies which will lose their identity upon coming together to form a new company, to form a completely new company. So the two companies that we have here, like A and B, they have to go to the registrar of companies and then they apply for closure. Yeah, they apply for permanent closure. When they apply for permanent closure, of course, normally what will happen is that you guys will be given outside here, the stakeholders, you'll be given like 6 months. Yeah, because in this case here, the registrar of companies must issue 2 gazette notices. Yeah, alerting stakeholders that this company is closing up. And why is it closing up? It's because there is a planned merger between A and B. So the key thing under mergers is that the two or more companies that are coming together are losing their identities. They are losing their identities. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we come here. Yeah, we look at acquisition. An acquisition is a takeover. Is a takeover where a predator company, now here we have a predator company, acquires a target company. So we have two companies here. We have a predator, like a lion is a predator. It swallows other smaller animals. So an acquisition is a takeover where a predator company acquires a target company. The target company ceases to exist and becomes part of the acquiring firm. Can be friendly or hostile, depending on whether the target agrees. Now, ladies and gentlemen, please listen and listen to me very well. We are saying that for the target, great. For the target, for acquisition, what do we have? We have swallowership. Yeah, because in this case here, A is swallowing B. Can somebody give me this? If it's acquisition, if A has acquired B, what do you expect this side yet? What do you expect to have on this side? If A has acquired B, is it AB? It is only A. It is only A. Because now B will no longer be there. B has been swallowed. B has been taken over. B has been acquired. So it is only B, which is the targeted company, that will lose their identities. And I remember when we began this subject where I was only able to read the course outline, we said, if you give us 2 animals, cat and rat, will this be a merger or an acquisition? Yeah, great. I can see what David Wairimu has written for me there. I'm so impressed. Yeah, cat and rat. What will be happening here on the other side of the equal? Cat and rat will be equal to what? cat and rat will be equal to what? Will be equal to cat. Why? Because the rat will disappear from the face of the earth. So automatically this becomes what here? An acquisition. Then can you kindly give me examples of companies that you know of which have ever engaged in acquisitions in Kenya here? Any company that you know of, big company, that has been on the spree of acquiring smaller companies. Thank you so much, Margaret. If I had, in this case here, something on my M-Pesa, I would have given you something right away, Margaret. Margaret has gotten this straight away, that Brookside is a big predator. It has eaten like 75% of milk companies in Kenya, swallowing them. Now, if you go to Brookside here, it's a behemoth of a company. It has become so huge. Yeah. Now, somebody is saying CBA and NIC. CBA, let's discuss this. Thank you very much, but let's discuss it. CBA and NIC. CBA and NIC. Will this be an CBA plus NIC? So do you want to tell me that like this was swallowed and then we got CBA? We got CBA. Do you want to tell me that this is what happened? That NIC, for example, was swallowed? No. We had the CBA and the NIC, both of them in this case here disappeared, giving us what is the name? What is the new name? What is NCBA? We got a new name, NCBA. So then this automatically becomes what here? Becomes a merger. This becomes a merger. This becomes a merger. This becomes a merger. Yeah. Great. I can see what Ngiro is giving us there. Ngiro must be a great gentleman in terms of, yeah, like Coop Bank and Kingdom Bank. Coop Bank and Kingdom Bank, this is purely an acquisition. And I liked this arrangement that Kingdom Bank has got its special type of customers. After Coop Bank acquired Kingdom Bank, all of us thought that Kingdom Bank would rebrand and become, in this case here, branches of Coop. They said, no, we are only changing the structure and we are not changing the name. So of course, in this case here, ladies and gentlemen, Kingdom is a subsidiary. It was just acquired as a subsidiary, but in this case, an independent, but still, it's an acquisition. Remember, they have told us that it could also be, we don't have to have like name changes. It can also be a structural change. Yeah, now you're giving me very good examples there, like Anne Magarel. She's giving me Rubis and a Kennel Kobil. I don't know what happened. Anne, was that a merger or an acquisition? Was it a merger or an acquisition? Was it a merger or an acquisition? And please, Emmanuel is saying acquisition. That Ruby's acquired all those great Kennel Kobil petrol stations we were seeing around here. It acquired them. And you can see Kennel Kobil is like now, I mean, the ones which are left must be very few, or they were even acquired, all of them. The brand was acquired totally. All right, great. You guys are understanding this pretty fast. Now, ladies and gentlemen, reasons for mergers. Why is it that we would want to merge? Even at a personal level, you will get the way we were created by our great good Lord, is that human beings basically should be able to come together. We should be able to merge through, in this case here, a marriage. Why would you think in this case here should two or more companies, come together? Reasons for mergers and acquisitions. Why can't you just operate on your own on the other side? Someone else also operates on their own, the company on the other side. Why should we come together? This is really popular in your exams. Very popular, I'll be able to show you in your past papers. So reasons for mergers and, yeah, reasons for mergers and acquisitions versus organic growth. Advantages of mergers and acquisitions. If, for example, ladies and gentlemen, RCM was able to acquire a college in Tanzania, we shall be able to get ourselves in a new market very fast. So the expansion in this case here becomes what here? Quite quick. So you can see here, speed of expansion. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, if we just exercise organic growth is the normal growth, where basically we are growing slowly year after year, year after year. Trust you me, mwalimu here or other stakeholders will easily die before we even spread our branches to Bungoma. Yeah, but if we start in this case here acquiring, all right, colleges in various places, yeah, we get a struggling college here, we acquire it. We acquire it in this case here with what here? The students, it's a business model. Yeah, so you expand very fast and you'll be able to be accepted on the other side quite fast. What you need to do is facelifting of the branches that you will be acquiring now. All right. Bidkoro Africa acquires Santori Beverage. Wow, Food Kenya. Wow, great. Good examples. Ladies and gentlemen, we are told here synergy. You know, synergy is all about 1 + 1 = 3. 1 + 1 = 3. 1 + 1 = 3. 1 + 1 = 3. That 2 combined will provide always more than what is expected. Yeah, when you join hands, in this case here, this gentleman has been cooking on their own. Hapa na kastove kake, gas yake, mambo mengi sana. The girl on the other side as well. When they come together, they'll be able to have like one cooking system. I mean, for companies, whenever you come together, ladies and gentlemen, there will be a lot of synergies which will come out of cost savings. Because if it is HR, now this company will not be having the HR, this one here, the HR. We're going to have same management systems. We're going to share the same computerized financial reporting software. Yeah, there'll be a lot of shared resources. So there will be a lot of synergy when the two come together. When we synergize, we get more when we combine efforts. So synergy, I can see very many messages. Yeah, the notes I'm giving them to you. Sir, I like that. Yeah, please do that. But you can also try to explain to them the context, But for sure, if he sees like I'm saying 1 + 1 = 3, that young man or young girl can hate me for life, which will be very, very bad. Synergy, cost savings through economies of scale and operational efficiencies. Then we have access to talent, stroke technology. Acquire skilled employees, tech or intellectual what here? Property, technology or intellectual property. So access to talent, stroke what here? Technology. Like for example, ladies and gentlemen, for so long in this case here, we have been thinking of how do we enter this primary school market? Yeah. For those of you who visited the Mwalimu that day at Isinyo, of course, you saw what we have been constructing. But I mean, we are not so sure of like, how do we enter? All right. Because again, if we enter as a low cost school, it will be very hard for us to increase fees. So then what have we decided to do? We have decided in this case here, as we also build up that one, we acquire a school, an existing school, great school in Kitangela. All right. When we acquire this great school, like when I was there, I mean, they are very, very talented teachers. This will not be the same as growing your own talent organically. Yeah, because like now the school you're talking about there has been in existence for over 20 years. And some of the teachers are as old as the school. All right. So when you go for acquisition, when you go for a merger, ladies and gentlemen, in this case here, you are also going to acquire what here? Talent. You're going to acquire technology. Infrastructure has already been done for you, even if you'll be paying some goodwill for it. But trust you me, it's much better than starting off from scratch. It's much better than starting off from scratch. Okay. Great. I can see in this case here very good. No, KCA will not go there to compete with the KCA. No, no. Because, we are going into primary, we're buying a primary school. I want to believe KCA is not in that business. They can't come that low, or they don't have that business model. Eliminate competition. Reduces market competition by acquiring rivals. If, for example, as RCM, we realize that we have got a very, very serious competitor and we have got serious resources, we can easily approach those guys, tell those guys, hey, we have got 8 million here for you. Take this. Then in this case here, we acquire that competitor. So once we acquire the competitor, instead of us having a low price, like currently we're charging Kenya shillings 4,800 per paper, once we put this competitor to be part of us, what do? Now we start recouping our capital that so we start taking the fees a little bit high. So the thing is, ladies and gentlemen, you can also use these acquisitions. You can also use these mergers and acquisitions to reduce rivalry, to reduce competition, Orongai, great. Great. Thank you so much. Now, ladies and gentlemen, come here. We are told the concept of what your tax benefits. Yes, this is really something that you should always consider. Like when, for example, you rush very fast and acquire a loss-making, you acquire a loss-making company, If your profit before tax is 10 million, the profit before tax of the lost company is negative 8 million. Yeah. So in this case, of course, your net taxable profit will be 2, like that. Yeah. So you can easily synergize by acquiring loss-making entities, because you will offset the losses from what year you profits. You'll offset the losses from your profits. All right. Now, ladies and gentlemen, from there, we look at the disadvantages of mergers and acquisitions compared now to organic growth. There is nothing that is really, really, really very good, which does not have disadvantages. So even these mergers and acquisitions have their own unique advantages. So for example, we have here cultural clashes. I was experiencing this, ladies and gentlemen, when I was working at RO, especially when opening new branches or even working with partner organizations in some countries. So for example, I remember we got some partner organization in Burundi. Yeah. And this partner organization, we agreed that now we are starting a new project called the Arrow Software over there. Let's, in this case here, employ our own people. So we started working with those great gentlemen. There were 2 gentlemen over there. Those guys could not cope up. Yeah. Because, the culture is very, very different. Yeah. Culture is very, very different. Over there, those guys would want to come to work at around 9. A Kenyan has hit the office by 7:30 in the morning, right? Those guys, they come at 9. Their lunch break is normally a little bit mapema, 12:30. And their lunch break is more than an hour. Although things are changing a little bit, but still, there is that kind of laxity. Even over lunch hour, like if it's Friday, over lunch hour, they must, in this case here, swallow something that is a little bit waterier, a little bit bitter compared to water. Yeah. And then they come back. Of course, your guess is as good as mine. In the afternoon, their productivity will not be that high. I'm not trying to say that they are bad. It is the culture that these guys got from the people, in this case here, who colonized them. They are bad colonizers. Like if you look at all countries that were colonized by the French people, all countries that were colonized by France, those countries up to now, they are known for 2 things. Is there somebody who can respond and tell us what are these key 2 things that countries that were colonized by France are known for? If you have traveled, can somebody in this case here give me those 2 things? Alcohol, I like that. Yeah, alcohol. Thank you so much. Keep. If it's men, women. Yeah. So it's like a curse. International disaster. international disaster. So the cultures can be very, very different. Coming to marry these two cultures, it will be a culture shock. When you hear like across the borders here, Tanzania, Kenyans being hated so much, trust you me. Even this thing of saying that Kenyans are thieves, trust you me. Trust you me. Most Kenyans in this case here work extra hard. We go an extra mile. We could be having our own disadvantages, but Kenyans, you go to Marikiti here by 3 a.m., guys are already, in this case here, I mean, in the market. Guys are doing things there. If you go in this case here, for example, at Bujumbura, you want to get even a shoshiner at 8 a.m., you can't get. You can't get. You can't get. You can't get. So cultural issues, cultural issues, cultural issues. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. All right. So cultural issues, integration issues between different corporate cultures. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't even work like even abroad, even locally here. I don't know whether there is somebody who has ever experienced this. I don't know whether there is anybody who has ever experienced this. We have CBA, we have CBA, we have NIC. So when they took over, one thing that these guys forgot in terms of integrations, they never moved and mixed stuff. They took still the NIC branches like the one that is along Arambe. Yeah, you'll get like the old staff who used to be NIC staff are still there. So whenever I go to NCBA and I happen to be going to the old NIC branch in quotes, NIC branch in quotes, I always feel like I get a better service there. I always feel that I get a better service in the very old NIC branches. I don't know whether there is anybody who has ever experienced that. Yeah, 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 but we shall overcome. So in this case here, there will always be those cultural issues whenever you're talking about amalgamation, coming together of companies. You can imagine, let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen, there are companies that work very, very hard, very, very hard. The other day we were hiring an audit senior at Aura and Co. And we got in this case here some applicants coming from the big four, especially ladies. Yeah, so we're trying to ask them, I mean, why would you want to come here and get a pay cut? They told us, hey, at times in this case here, the kind of work that we are given at those places, it's not a joke. You finish working at 5 p.m., you still have to carry a laptop home. You go home with work, which is very dangerous. Dangerous because you'll not be able to have proper work-life balance. All right. And then in this case here now, this kind of a firm where employees are really, really active, assuming, for example, they were to merge with Kenyatta National Hospital. Do you think the two category of employees will ever harmonize in operations? I'm not trying to belittle KNH. I know also public sector has really improved, but trust you me, we can't match what those guys are doing. Those guys have like been wired in a very, very, if you look at some of the assignments they do and they're able to deliver, it's not a joke. They put in lots of time into what they do. So whenever PwC, for example, is to acquire another advisory firm or assurance firm, say, for example, in another country, trust you me, there'll be those cultural issues. Luckily for these big four, given their experience, they also know how to train these other people in what year in those respective countries, but within 3 years, they will be able to buy the culture, the international culture, 4 years. That's why they keep on swapping them. You are a Nigerian, go now to Kenya, etc. Cultural issues. And the cultural issues, they are all over. Mombasa is a lazy city too. We shall overcome. I've already seen somebody saying, Mwalimu, don't talk about that one. So even in marriage, like some of us in this case, ladies and gentlemen, who have intermarried, yeah, like I have married a Kalenjin, yeah. there will be those great things. For example, the children we get, of course, are quite unique, very bright, but there will also be some disadvantages. For example, when we get like a young kid, and then I have now visitors coming from some places, at times they tend to use a language you cannot understand. So language issues, those are cultural issues, cultural issues, all right? So then, of course, you're left on the other side. So the only thing you're left to be doing is to drink mursik. We shall overcome. Then we have here disadvantages of M&A, high cost. Acquiring an organization is not a simple thing. First of all, you'll have to pay goodwill. You'll have to pay legal costs. There'll be a lot of advisory, and acquisition costs can be what here? Can be substantial. Remember when you go acquiring, like for example, when we acquire this primary school, one thing in this case here you will do, these guys will tell you, for example, pay 80 million. So you think it is easy. It's not that easy. You must really be prepared, because once you pay this 80 million, immediately as the transfers are being done, you will have to pay 4% stamp duty, because this is a commercial entity, stamp duty. Now, and again, remember, these people have become very, very bright nowadays. They know that now KRA is very strict on capital gain tax. So the sellers of the school, when they are selling to you, they'll always ask for a higher goodwill, because they know that from whatever you will give them, right now, KRA has got so many issues on capital gains tax. If your selling price is about 80 million, you'll be surprised. You will end up paying about 15% of this 80. Even if they deduct nowadays, it's not like the way we used to do those things. Like you just take a plain paper, you feel like I've done this kind of, and then you deduct, like you pay almost zero. No, nowadays they call you. They tell you have paid stamp duty. Somebody, if you have bought property, just that day you'll be able to bear witness. You have paid stamp duty of this much, and we feel that whatever capital gains you have, tax you have submitted is not adequate. Of course, they're telling the other guy, is not adequate. Come to the office, second floor there at KRA. Come, we discuss. When you go there, they squeeze you, because they know, even if you're saying that you did some development, right? Even those receipts, you don't have them. So they'll tell you that the very best then you can do is to allow you to deduct 20 million. So things are changing. So when you go for mergers and acquisitions, ladies and gentlemen, there will be tax implications. There will be heavy costs. If it is good lawyers, ladies and gentlemen, will be able to do what here to take like a good percentage of the selling price, etc., etc., etc. Yeah, cultural shocks, yes. Great. Thank you so much. Yeah. So then we have here, we have regulators' hurdles. Governments may block deals due to antitrust, what here? Antitrust laws. Ladies and gentlemen, please listen and listen to me very well. Like the other day, if you remember, McKinney School had a problem. McKinney went and acquired, in this case here, a school, was it in Kisumu? Yeah. And the anti-competition authority was able to say, hey, no. So whenever we talk of acquisitions, there are higher chances that you may go against the law, and the regulators may come and say cancel. And remember, you have already paid some money to the sellers. That money cannot be refunded. And the moment you get into those kind of tussles with the regulator, especially when now the matter becomes public interest, then the case will be prolonged in the corridors of justice. As you lose, in this case, your reputation, I mean, you're losing, in this case, your capital. The other, if it's a school in Kisumu, students are even running away, etc. So the regulator hurdles. The regulator hurdles. Now, after that, ladies and gentlemen, we are told here, debt burden, often funded through borrowing, which increases financial risk. For example, if it's RCM that is going to acquire this primary school, we don't have money of our own. The only thing that we are good at is to play around with leverage, to play around with what? With debt. So we come and tell these people we are acquiring this primary school. It has got 5,000 students. So not 5,000, but 500. 500 students, each is paying 20. So the cash flows are like this. Please give us a loan on the basis of what year these cash flows. Those cash flows may not be there in the long term. Things may change. There is a financial risk there. All right. So the debt burden. Most acquisitions, not unless you are very, very wealthy, most acquisitions are normally financed through loans, not owner's equity, not owner's equity, not owner's equity. All right. Then we have disruption. Can distract management and staff, impacting operations. Ladies and gentlemen, remember, I've had an opportunity of dealing with very, very many leaders, many managers. Do you know, ladies and gentlemen, that there are managers who are really focused on one direction? They can only run one farm. If you try, in this case, you're bringing other things. For example, you tell them, we have acquired this branch in Kisumu, we have acquired this company in Kisumu, manage the two of them, distractions, noise. And remember, those disruptions will also come because of what here? Potential redundancies. Remember, when you are doing acquisitions, there will be people who will be sacked. When they know that they'll be sacked, and of course, they are not very sure, like out of 1,000 people, who will be exactly, their morale will go down. There will be disruption. Whether you like it or not, there will be disruption. You will be a genius if you'll be able to handle an acquisition without what here? Disruptions, without disruptions. Ladies and gentlemen, remember, about 65% of employees in Kenya go to their workplaces every morning with an intention of stealing. About 65%. Yeah. So should you give them another reason for them to panic a little bit? Trust you me, they'll do what they did to Kenya Railways. They can even come and uproot the rail structure itself, right? Yeah. Yeah. So when they hear that there is an acquisition and they do not know, for example, the caliber of people who are coming in, they always smell danger. And when they smell danger, then you may not be able to have any company there. You may get a shell of a company. All right, ladies and gentlemen, how about this organic growth? Is it good? Yes. If I'm growing RCM organically, it's not that bad because I'm going to have what we call a controlled growth pace, gradual and manageable development. Slowly, we get our profits at the end of the year. We plow back like 20%. We keep on growing slowly. We keep on growing slowly. Like now we have been able to get extra space. Yeah. Our neighbors somewhere there, they have left some space at Commonwealth House. We have taken a bit of it. That's growth slowly. Now that growth is what is manageable. All right. Preserves culture. So I'm grooming my own people. Some of the people that I work around, actually like 80% of the people that I work at RCM, in this case here, have been my students before. All right. So I know in this case here, their capabilities like that. So preserves culture, maintains internal identity and practices. Less risky because, I mean, if it is a natural expansion, organic means natural, then I may not be able to borrow to finance organic growth. No. So the risk will be really low. Disadvantages of organic growth: slower progress. You will grow pole, slowly. Takes longer to scale or enter new markets. Limited reach, may lack resources to compete with larger rivals. Capital intensive, requires significant reinvestment of profits here because you've got, when you go and make an acquisition, when you make an acquisition, ladies and gentlemen, you can easily be lucky to get a game changer. Yeah. But when you are depending, in this case, ladies and gentlemen, on this organic growth, it's about the owners of the business always financing back, refinancing, bringing in their equity. That is why you get, if you're in partnership, and I've done businesses, ladies and gentlemen, severally, and I would want to take this opportunity to just advise you. Yeah. If you realize, of course, when you are in partnership, like for example, 10 partners, Yeah, it will be very, very hard. Of course, as you start, you guys have got all the motivations, all the energies around. You'll be able to pump back. Yeah, even get money from elsewhere, you pump back into this investment. But as time passes by, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, nobody will be giving even a single cent towards this business. Yeah, and that is why I always prefer this concept of organic growth. Yeah, not unless it's really a huge company and you're working with very, very good lawyers and you have partners that will be able to really understand each other. I would always recommend that you get into what we call sole proprietorship. You get, in this case, yourself dirty outside there and ensure that you're working like a donkey. At the end of the day, you'll grow slowly, but your future, as you get into my age and even beyond, you will be able to thrive. Is there anybody who has ever been into a partnership business that never did very well? Anybody who has been into partnership issues? Not unless you get very good partners who are very, very selfless. And even if they are selfless, it will be very good for you to read that memorandum, create your own memoranda. Yeah, create your own memoranda. Otherwise, right now, the cases we are solving, many cases that audit firm, our and core partnerships, they are not easy. They are not easy. They're not easy. You can easily get partners, in this case here, I mean, who will not be able to recoup back. And even if they wanted to recoup back their profits and even get some monies from outside, people get tired. People get tired. All right? People get tired. All right. So then we have here strategies to prevent hostile takeovers. Strategies to prevent. So first of all, what is a hostile takeover? Yeah, like during not even our days, I mean, I'm not that old, but I'm told, like during our father's times, whenever they wanted to marry, they would simply go to some nearby river. Those times, in this case here, most girls were fetching water from some rivers. If they saw this is beautiful, they simply used to carry the lady, go home with that lady, she becomes a wife. Yeah. So in this case here, the lady, of course, was not in agreement. And there is nothing they could do. It was culture. It was cultural. So when we talk of a hostile takeover, this is that kind of a predator who will be able to consume a target without the target giving any consent, without the management of the target company agreeing. Yeah, without the Yeah, so you're saying a hostile takeover occurs when a company tries to acquire another without the approval of its management. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is that kind of a topic where you tell all students, in this case here now, to get these things. Because you must get these things. Because what we say here at times, if your kids here, they may not understand that we are here to use those examples to discuss serious things. Yeah, to discuss serious things. And I can see, ladies and gentlemen, that we have comments here. Yeah, thanks, Sarah. Yeah, if one of them came up with the idea, if he or she leaves business, you can't move on. And yeah, like you can see, Chris is giving us an example of a hostile takeover. Yeah, AstraZeneca and Pfizer 2014. Wanaendea shareholders direct. Thank you so much. That's a very, very good example. Yeah, that's a very, very good example. Yeah, you get, for example, Family Bank targeting Equity Bank. So they go to the Nairobi Stock Exchange and then they start getting shares directly of Equity Bank. So they start buying. Yeah. Without, in this case, your management giving approval for an institutional acquisition. Yeah. So that will be a hostile takeover. Do you know why we call them hostile takeovers? You can imagine if, for example, it's Equity Bank and this Equity Bank now, for lack of, for example, market intelligence, they simply are there and then Family Bank is acquiring shares. Within no time, they have like 30%. Within no time now, this company has become an associate. Within no time, they gain controlling interest. When they gain controlling interest, what will they do? They'll go and suck all the directors of Equity Bank. That's what we call hostility, a hostile takeover. Yeah, it's not friendly. Yeah, we are not going to have the directors of the two companies shaking hands. No, we are simply coming for you like this without hissing like a snake, which does not hiss. But the moment we strike you, then we fire all the directors. We fire all the directors, so that automatically becomes a hostile takeover. So then we need to research. We need research to include this. Great, great, great. Don't worry, Chris. Life is good. Life is good. Don't worry. We shall overcome. Now, ladies and gentlemen, these kind of takeovers, there is a way you can defend yourself. When you realize that this person has already started buying your shares, he's coming to attack you. Yeah, so you are this lady and you're seeing that this man is really coming to me, he has even come to my parents, and my parents have even endorsed him. But as a young girl, when I look at this man very, very closely with my own eyes and my internal eyes from my heart, when I look at him like this man will not be a very, very good man. I don't want him. He's a hostile man. I don't want him. So then how can I fight back against this guy in a way that he will not marry me? He will not marry me. There are so many ways you could use. The first method that I would want you to consider using is the concept of the crown jewel. So you use, in this case here, what we call the crown jewel strategy. The crown jewel strategy. So how does this, ladies and gentlemen, apply? So you know a crown, like the king's crown. Yeah, beautiful things. So you look at your company and ask yourself, what is it that these people from abroad or from wherever would make these guys from abroad or from wherever want to acquire me? So if it's Safaricom, they'll have to do some introspection and see what is it really in us which is propelling, making these people from, for example, the UK want to acquire us. Is it M-Pesa? If it's M-Pesa, in this case, they break the farm and make M-Pesa separate from Safaricom. Yeah, so they remove the crown jewel. They remove the crown jewel, and then you leave Safaricom like with what here? A shell. Of course, it'll be having other products. So for that young girl, you'll have to ask yourself, this young man, what does he love most about this person who is called, in this case here, for example, Jerry? Perhaps in this case here, it is the look of my hair. Yeah. So then what do I do if it is my hair that is attracting this guy to me and I don't want him? What should I do? What should I do if it is the hair? Yeah, you go to the nearest kinyozi. And in this case here, ask the kinyozi not just to do a trim. No, but in this case here to make you become bald. Yeah, like Mwalimu here. Then you go and face this guy. When you face him with 7 corners of the head, the guy runs away. You've been able to defend yourself from a hostile takeover. Your aim is to make him run away. Your aim is to make him run away. Yeah, it's called, in this case here, crown jewel strategy. What is the crown? What is the crown? Yeah. So of course, I'm so sure most ladies would not want to shave their hair, right? Yeah, you need to wear. Yes. I started by excusing myself that way, because also without those examples, you guys will forget these things. And remember, AFM, the theories are really, really important. Most students pass AFM because of what here? The theories. Because of the theories. So those theories are very, very, very good. They are very, very good. They're very, very good. So I must really use those examples. Headphones. Of course, if you have got teenagers, I mean, you don't let these people get to know these things. Yeah. Oh, you dye the hair. Okay. We shall overcome. We shall overcome, Rosaline. Like just run, okay? Or you run away. No. Remember, your aim is to make him to run away, not yourself to run away. No. How do you run away from this man? This man must be, in this case, stronger. He could be running much faster than you. It is just the tactics that you use to make sure that this man runs away, actually out of his skin. He disappears totally. He disappears totally. So we have got very many methods you could use of, and they are very, very common. So under crown jewel strategy, sell off or spin off, we're going to learn what this stands for, the most valuable assets, crown jewels, to make the company less attractive. Then we have what we call the white knight strategy. For those of you who have traveled, if, for example, you are in the UK, United Kingdom, and then you happen to do something that is really magical, extraordinary. Yeah, you do something, you are in this case here, Chris, say Chris Kamau, and then you do something that is extraordinary, and then the queen herself is able to spot that talent. So what the queen will do, the queen will knight you. You'll be knighted. You'll be knighted. And once you are knighted like this, then your name changes from Mr. Doctor wherever to the highest, highest esteemed title here, which is Sir. So they'll start calling you Sir Chris. Sir Chris. When you see somebody going by this title, that, is the highest title, highest level title, Sir, because you've been knighted. So we are talking about that knight. The knight we are talking about, ladies and gentlemen, is the devil. Yeah, the devil. The devil. 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 So in this case, of course, ladies, we'll always say that men, we are devils. Yeah. So men, we are devils. But as much as we are devils, ladies and gentlemen, as much as we are devils, ladies and gentlemen, here, right? Devils, knights. Of course, in this case here, some of us will be black and others will be what here? A little bit better. A little bit better. We call them white devils. We call them white devils. A little bit better. Yeah. So in this case here, Mr. A has approached, in this case here, Naomi. Mr. A has even been accepted by parents of Naomi. Actually, your mother, at times these mothers can be bothersome. So your mother will be telling you, hey, why are you not meeting? Why are you not even talking? This guy is the one we want. But inside you, you know you don't want A. Because you know A better than your mother. You know A, maybe from primary school, maybe from secondary, you know him, even his stories, you know all of them. So then this A that you do not want automatically will be a black knight. Automatically, this will be a black knight. A black knight is a black devil. You can imagine devil himself, in this case, is black. And then you are adding a word black there. So then one of the ways that you can easily run from this particular black knight, this particular black devil, is to choose another gentleman. You never wanted to be married. After all men are devils. That's according to, at times you call us dogs. Yeah, dogs. Yeah, all right. But ladies and gentlemen, this lady now, of course, has to be married in one way or the other. So according to white knight strategy, this lady will be able to look for, of course, not look, but get somebody in this case who has been making advances. So who is B? I never wanted to get married, but B is a better devil. B is a white knight. B is a white knight. So in this case here, without any announcements, very soon, A hears that Naomi is getting married to who? Is getting married to B, and they do a wedding. So it means that Naomi has chosen a white knight, unless honestly, after A has heard that Naomi has been married by B, that now these people here are married, do you think still A will continue pursuing Naomi? Not unless he's another one, isn't it? Do you think that A will continue pursuing Naomi, honestly? Not unless he's another one. Not unless he's now really a pure devil, a pure devil, a pure devil. So remember, ladies and gentlemen, in this particular case, we are looking for a friendlier predator. Look at the case of Kakuzi versus Rea Vipingo. Yeah. One of them in this case here felt like, I don't want to be acquired. I don't want to be acquired by the other one. But because this one that was to be acquired was in financial problems, at the end of the day, they had to be acquired. They looked for a better suitor. They looked for a better predator. So they went for a white knight. So, ladies and gentlemen, when you go for a white knight, what happens when you go for a white knight? When you go for a white knight, here, you find a more acceptable company, the white knight, to acquire them instead of the hostile bidder, rochafu, kamati ya rochafu. Yeah, huyo hostile bidder, wacha kwende huko kabisa, white knight. So I don't know, ladies and gentlemen, whether with that explanation, you guys now will be able to know how to put this in your own words. Or you do like a come we stay, okay. Yeah, look for a more friendly one to marry you. I like that. Great. Yes. Daisy, yes. What do you mean, Rosaline? These things happen. Maybe, Rosaline, you are living in another world. Yeah, these things happen. Maybe your parents have never told you, but trust you me, even your parents, we could be having like some family kind of friendships, eh? And you feel like this family would want like some boy from another friendly family to marry my girl. They happen. They happen. They happen. If they are not happen to you, Rosaline, trust you me, something is on the way. Something is on the way. Something is on the way. But of course, the thing is, you may not be able to accept, yeah. But at times you'll hear some auntie mentioning that, you know what, that boy is good. You want to tell me, you guys, that those things don't happen? Do you want to tell me that you guys, those things don't happen? Where people point fingers. You are given to choose what you want. Like, then maybe I'm not communicating very well. I know there will be a lot of finger pointing, even from your own sisters. Somebody will always, tell you, it will be very hard, like for you to just go like that. It will be very, very hard. It will be very, very hard. It didn't happen. Okay, great. Then you win. You win. You win. We shall overcome, Eric. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. Now, ladies and gentlemen, before I discuss the poison pill, I would want to discuss the golden parachute. So, have you guys ever seen a parachute? Is there anybody who has ever seen a parachute here, especially with the military helicopters? So military helicopter will go up there and we'll be able to see them throwing their officers down, but they have some form of umbrellas. Umbrellas. Yeah, a parachute. And this umbrella now is golden, meaning it's very, very expensive. So you're saying, myself as Rose, the way I am currently in my aeroplane, I have my father, I have my mother, I have my sisters, I have my brothers. So for you to be able to marry me, do you want to marry me? No problem. My father in this case here would want 1 million. My mother would want 2 million. My brothers, each one of them 500,000 for them to get out of the plane with these golden handshakes, with these golden parachutes, and then you come over. Do you think this young man will be able to afford those millions? No. So whenever it comes to golden parachutes, what you do, you'll be able to have some kind of a memorandum with the company that you are in currently. And then you say that in case of anybody acquiring RCM, then Dr. Aura himself must be able to go home, not in a normal jet, not in a normal vehicle, but a golden thing. So I put a price on myself, which will be very exorbitant, that people will not be able to afford. That will be a very, very good way of myself defending myself against a hostile takeover. Yeah, a golden parachute. Oh, you've never seen them, eh? We shall overcome, don't worry. But from that explanation, movies only, yeah. You can even Google. You can even Google. They tried, but my parents were stubborn. Yes, you see, those are good parents. We shall overcome. we shall overcome. So in terms of these golden parachutes, ladies and gentlemen, we are reading here, golden parachutes offer large financial benefits to top executives if they are ousted due to a takeover. Yeah, I'm skipping some, but I'll be able to explain all of them. Then we have what we call Pac-Man's defense. This is very, very good because there is a movie about this Pac-Man's defense, where you see in this case here somebody very, very tiny is being followed by a giant. So this person who is very tiny realizes that he can't be able now to catch up the speed this giant is making great moves, and they'll be able to catch up with him. So once he's really pushed to the very corner, when push comes to shove, what does this young man do, the tiny man? He picks even stones. He fights back. So this concept of fighting back is what we call counter offers. Yeah, so in this case here, we have, for example, Equity Bank wanting to acquire Family Bank. Even if Family Bank is small, they can also do a counter offer and say, hey, now we want to acquire you. So the case of this young girl who wants to get married, or rather the boy wants to get married to this young girl, and then you realize that this boy is really pursuing me. The other way of making sure that this guy disappears like tomorrow, you now be the one like pursuing him. Tell him, now I want to come to your house tomorrow and I'm coming with everything. I'm coming with everything. The way these young men fear marrying nowadays, that man will run, but have you achieved the objective? Yes. So counter offers, they work. They work. They work. 2 minutes. Okay. Give us 2 minutes. Some of us are taking short notes. Okay. Okay. All right. No problem. Okay. So then we have, ladies and gentlemen, Pac-Man's defense. The target company tries to acquire the predator company in return. In return. Honestly speaking, the gentlemen who are here, if a girl comes to you with that approach, do you think that girl, you'll be able to marry that girl? Yeah, you can't. You'll see danger because you don't expect, in this case here, a lady to have that kind of what, gusto. Yeah. So you will see danger. You will see danger. Danger ahead. All right, ladies and gentlemen. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So under Pac-Man's defense, the target company tries to acquire the predator company in return. And then now, ladies and gentlemen, we have what we call employee or management buyout. This one I've always seen Equity Bank using it a lot. Yeah, yeah. Where in this case here, James Mwangi encourages, he doesn't force them, you encourage employees of Equity Bank to always be buying shares of Equity Bank at the stock exchange. So basically the reason is we would want the shares of Equity Bank to be scarce. We would rather the employees buy them than them being bought by a hostile predator. So when our employees buy them, then they make those shares scarce. When they're scarce, what happens? The share price goes up. The share price goes up. So if it goes up, then it will be way beyond what most of these predators would want to pay. Yeah, so you can ask the current managers, you can ask the current employees to support you by buying. Yeah, and so long as the company is being run very, very well internally, you don't even have to tell employees. They'll be able to do the acquisitions slowly, and then of course you give them like maximum. Like most companies will have what we call employee ownership share schemes. Employee ownership share schemes, which in this case you will have like a maximum of 15% of the shares being set aside for the employees. Let me put up this. But already, Rosalind, you'll be able to get this handout. You don't have to write a lot. You don't have to write a lot. You don't have to write a lot. So it's called employee management buyout. Management or employees buy a controlling stake to keep the company independent. Independent. Keep the company independent. Yeah. And then we have in this case here seeking legal redress. Like for example, Airtel. Those days, Airtel took Safaricom to court when you had left the market. When you left the market, Safaricom wanted to acquire the whole of used assets. And then you went, or rather Airtel went to court, sought legal redress on these competition laws. That should Safaricom acquire now you plus its customers, then automatically Safaricom will become a monopoly. Safaricom will become a monopoly. So in this case here, they were told then, fine, we stop this acquisition. Whatever assets that you has shall be subdivided. You Airtel buy this, another one buy masts, another one buys even subscribers, and that was it. So you can seek legal redress. The targeted company that is being proposed to be acquired, you simply go to court and say, if I'm acquired by RCM, then RCM will become what here? A superpower. It will become a monopoly, which is against what here? Competition Authority of Kenya. It's a whole act talking about farms should compete. Farms should compete. Farms should compete. All right. Yeah, we shall be able to do that. Okay, okay. Let me not comment about that. They don't like people going to, okay, great. And then we have this poison pill. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this poison pill, basically, poison pill that the targeted company, this targeted company, which is to be acquired, one of the ways that you could use to defend yourself from being acquired, you simply get a poison pill and swallow. Yeah, poison pill, make yourself poisonous. When you make yourself poisonous, then in this case here, there's no any other animal that can come and bite you, not unless it wants to die. Yeah, swallow a poisonous pill. So what do we mean with this poisonous pill? So for instance, you could decide in this case here to go and acquire huge debts, knowing very well that you don't even need that money, but you simply acquire huge debt so that when other companies look at your statement of financial position, they see big liabilities. Nobody would want to acquire big liabilities to put them in their balance sheet. No. No. All right. The other way of swallowing a poison pill, ladies and gentlemen, is to ensure that your share prices are also grossly undervalued. They become like useless. People think like, for example, like right now, there's nobody, of course, it's coming up a little bit, but at some point, nobody would have wanted, or rather, even right now, who would want to buy shares of Everready, Packer Power? No. So then to make this thing poisonous, what you can even do is to issue your own shareholders with free stocks, free shares. When you make them free, then of course they are going to take those shares, many of them to the stock exchange. The supply will be too big. When people start realizing, hey, how comes the share price now is going down? Most of these people will be able to do what here? To run away. To run away. They'll run away. So in terms of poison pill, ladies and gentlemen, in terms of poison pill, ladies and gentlemen, what are we told here? We are told poison pill introduce measures that make the takeover financially unattractive, e.g. issuing new shares at a big discount to existing shareholders. The thing is, make the company unattractive. Like now I can tell you for sure. You see, ladies and gentlemen, Safaricom's shares have really gone down in terms of price. Safaricom shares were almost up to 35 etc. Right now, one share of Safaricom is going for how much? Right now, Safaricom share is going for how much? Anybody who could be knowing? You investors? You investors. Yeah, 18 bob. 18 bob. So when the share price is going down like that, most of these predators will not be interested. Yeah, of course, we don't want it to be that high, but when I realize that it is moving from 40 now going up to 18, chances are it can easily move to 0. Who would want to buy something when it is, in this case here, bearish, going down? All right, it's a problem. It's a problem. Ladies and gentlemen, in December, 1850, in December 2023, question number 3A. Question number 3A, December 2023, question number 3A, they asked us something. December 2023, question number 3A, they told us to highlight 6 economic and financial justifications advanced for mergers and acquisitions. 6 economic and financial what year? Justifications. Economic and financial justifications. So financial will be things like what year? The synergy, money, tax savings. Economic will be things like what year? Economies of scale. Economies of scale. Yeah, we have economies of scope. Yeah, so let's read them. Yeah, you see, like Margaret, you are giving me a very good answer, but very many students in this sitting were not able to arrange them this way. Those who never arranged them this way never scored very well. You see, like you start with economic justifications and then you do financial justifications. So economies of scale, reduction in per unit cost due to increased production, and operational what year? Efficiency and operational efficiency. Then we have economies of scope. I hope these economies of scale is easy for you to understand that now you'll be a bigger company. You'll be able to attract even bigger discounts from your suppliers. And because you're producing so many units, ladies and gentlemen, then the cost per unit will be significantly reduced. Then we have here economies of scope. Because your scope now is going to increase, perhaps producing more products. Cost advantages from offering a broader range of products, stroke services, using the same resources or distribution what year channels. Economies of scope, the scope is bigger, right? Then we have market power and competitive advantage. Now that we have come together, yeah, increased market share can lead to better pricing power. Yeah, can price a little bit higher, stronger bargaining position, and reduced competition. Then another economic justification is access to new markets. Enables entry into foreign or untapped markets without the time and the cost of building from scratch. Elimination of redundancies removes duplicate functions, streamlining operations. Yeah, better utilization of resources. We become efficient, combines capital, labor, and technology more effectively than when separate. Then financial justifications has the same points, but now you're looking at the money perspective. Revenue synergies, combined firms can generate more revenue than individually through cross-selling, upselling, or market expansion. Cost synergies, significant cost savings through consolidation of departments, supply chains, and facilities. Improved cash flow and financial strength. Larger firms may have more stable cash flows and easier access to financing. Tax advantages, like Margaret told us, losses of one company can offset profits of the other, reducing the overall tax burden. Asset utilization, better use of underutilized or idle assets improves the return on investments. Increase in shareholder value. Of course, you know that now you're a big firm. A merger is now a big firm. Yeah, increased shareholder value. If the merger is successful, it can lead to a rise in the stock price and dividends, benefiting shareholders. Then we have diversification of risk. Now we are in different countries. Our scope of economies of scope has increased. Yeah, we are now selling many products, so we have diversified. Combining businesses in different industries or geographies reduces overall business risk. So finances in future will be very, very stable. Ladies and gentlemen, that is it for today. I don't think we should be able to really continue. We have done justice to our today's content. So if there is any new student here who would want to join us, please, you should not have any hesitations. Call RCM join us like today. So it is my hope that you have enjoyed the session, which you shall be able to finish mergers in our subsequent class. Thank you and bye. Thank you so much. All right. So Chris, please give me the list. Yeah, the notes, I'll be able to share them. Let me just get somebody who will be able to save them to me in form of a great class. Thank you so much. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. The notes will get them immediately after this. Bye and good night. Chuka, yeah, we should be able to come to Chuka. Great.